Welcome, everyone. This is Pineleaf News, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO, and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Andang,
Hey, everybody.
Etharos,
Yes.
Draculetta,
Hey, everybody out there.
Sithrith,
Hello, everyone.
and Braxwolf.
Happy New Year, Lotro.
And Happy New Year to everyone. And the news for this week is that the staff at LOTRO were on vacation and didn't do anything other than, I hope, spend some quality time with their families while we're all waiting, hoping that someday they'll come back to the office and give us some real news.
Like the producer's
have an
letter that's
office?
supposed to come out next week.
Yes, like the producer's letter that is supposed to come out in January, and we're expecting next week, and I hope that Andang is right in that. Let's go into the store sales.
They specifically said next week, but okay.
You don't ever believe it until you see it.
I think you might need to
Store
reintroduce
sales?
that.
Well, I was waiting for you to comment again, but it's
Yeah,
okay. Free sample of the week is the random relic pack. Who really gives the...
Whoopee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coupon code is JGBRL. Don't even ask me to explain that one. One per account, and that is through January 8th. And if you're into monster play, this sale will interest you. 30% off monster classes, monster traits, monster skills, and the 100% infamy renown gain. Once again, that is through January 8th. So it's a good monster sale for anybody that PBMPs.
All right, very well. Then let's go into the site news, and we'll begin with the 1550 turbine point giveaway. Andang, you know anything about this thing?
I do, Pineleaf. This will be over by the time that our show goes out, but if you're in the live chat room, and if you have not left a comment yet on this article, you will want to do so. I'm going to link the link in the comments and let you guys hopefully enter into this because there's only a few hours left.
All right, so, and then let's go into the great MMO face-off where we were facing one of the newer MMOs, ESO, and how did we do in the finals, Drac?
We lost 54.3 to 45.7. And let's see, let me scroll down. It looks like Secret World beat Eve 57.9% to 42.1%.
So you wanted to be a new one then?
It seems that way, and I know Elder Scrolls has an extremely passionate fan base. They're kind of like, their fans are kind of like how LOTRO was right when it launched and like all the hype that led up into that when, a new MMO comes out. So it's, understandable that them being a new MMO as of last year, plus the consoles haven't even come out yet, there's still a lot of hype around it, and so it makes sense.
The console still hasn't come out?
Nope. They're going to be.
I thought that was
It
supposed to
is.
come out long ago.
It was.
It
It's
was.
still in production. They're trying to make the game as good as it is so that they can. People are speculating that it's to get higher review scores and things like that. Because there have been people invited to like do test builds, I guess, and they say that it's working. But anyway, this isn't the ESO show. This is the LOTRO show. So let's get back to LOTRO news.
All right, very well then. Let's then go to a Yuletide and New Year's wish from Lotro. And that came from Kaylee Starshine. And may your hopes alight and wishes come true this Yule season. And a very nice looking shot that you have to see that goes with it. We talk about various things with the season. And anybody have any comments about this?
Seems like this might be Pinely's first
Uh,
time looking at it.
Yeah.
yeah. I have some comments about this. So,
All right.
yeah, it starts off as this like, oh, yes, Happy New Year, blah, blah, but then it kind of goes on to talk about some grievances with the game. As Callie writes, there's some sections: reconciliation, reevaluation, and the last part's the chair at the table for all is just general kind of talking about people. But the first part she talks a lot about stuff that's happened over the past year, but she seems to talk a lot about Helm's Deep, which was in 2013, not this past year. But anyways, it seems like she's trying to do this kind of taking stock of what's happened in the past year in LOTRO on the forums and trying to kind of reconcile people, but I disagree with the way she goes about it. One of the posters in the comments says it praises her for being very neutral about it, but she continuously calls the Turbine staff overlords, which in another comment she explains she's always called them that in an endearing way, but it does not read that way, I don't think, and I just generally disagree with her tone of this post. It doesn't feel like it's reconciling, it feels like it's just opening up old disagreements and wounds that have happened over the past 2 years or so.
Yeah, Carla, she had a very tough time with the way that Helm's Deep, the things that happened there. And yet she's still continued to try to see some positive things in the game and, still voice the grievances she had. And so I actually think if you're going to be, going away from LOTRO and, wanting to see change, that she's a pretty good example of how to do it compared to some of the other things I've seen from other people in similar situations.
Yeah, I will give her credit in that. She is a lot more sensible and critical with her, criticism, I suppose, than compared to people, which is actually a point I would make with regards to this actual article, where she talks about the beta for Helm's Deep a lot, where she says the devs kind of just pretty much ignored people who had complaints and just sort of went with what they wanted to do no matter what. I kind of had a different impression of the beta, at least my experience of it. I kind of found that while, yeah, they did kind of push forward with the class changes, specifically whether or not people were saying they wanted them, I think on the player side, they also kind of dropped the ball, because there were a lot of just straight up, this is the NGE, it's bad, change it, stop doing it immediately.
There's a lot of very unhelpful, quote-unquote, feedback that was just, this sucks, I don't like it.
And I remember there being a lot of NDA breaches on the day that the update went up. And that was really bad, because I had not experienced anything close to that in previous betas.
Or even in other MMOs. I haven't seen other MMOs have that many NDA breaks publicly like that. I've seen people, message to podcasts. Like I know CSTM got a ton of, emails about people being in beta, and I know one of the Elder Scrolls shows, they get tons of emails about people being in beta. But I've never seen people just openly posting on the game's forums where people are going to find it that, what was going on. So
yeah,
it was definitely something different.
Just in general, I think players don't really recognize that they also kind of didn't approach things in the best way. I noticed a lot of hostility and just outright toxicity directed at the devs, and I will give them credit. Actually, at least a few specific ones, they put in a lot of effort to get these class changes done right. Rockex, in particular, for the captain changes, he was there constantly, and they were in the most
I don't agree
at the beginning.
I definitely don't agree with the changes Rockex made, but you can't say that he was totally silent. He was posting tons every single day, talking to people.
Yeah, and you should have seen the captain at the beginning. They were hands down the worst class when it first went up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the tone of the end of the article? I'll be honest, it's too long for me to read. But I mean, I know Kaylee. I remember her posting her opinions on Helm's Deep back when Helm's Deep was going live, and it hasn't really changed a whole lot, I don't think. But at this point, it's kind of like this is the way it's going to be, and if you want to continue to play the game, you're going to have to kind of accept that, because it's at this point, it's not going to change back to what it was before. I
think what Kelly is generally asking for, at least towards the end, is that the devs take a good look at what they think what the players actually are asking for, I know she suggests sort of poll in the launcher and stuff with incentives to actually complete it, that sort of thing. Because I think her main belief is that this change they sort of done towards less group content and more solo stuff is actually misguided in terms of what players are actually
I,
wanting.
I think that the way that this article is set up, they kind of set up the history of what they thought kind of happened with Helm's Deep, and then how we can try to maybe avoid that in the future. It doesn't quite go that far, but I think that that's kind of where this is coming from. And so I think that, like I said earlier, this is a good way to go about it. That way, that being said, though, this is about this year. It seems from the title, so I don't know, but definitely a good article, I think, and something to think over when you read it.
Definitely worth reading, at
Mhm.
least, I will say.
Right then, let's go into the video highlights then. We go from the rather controversial start to the biggest fan.
That is kind of a polar opposite, yeah. Um, so this is actually a video from a contest that they had back in 2012, I believe, right before Isengard came out, or maybe it was Rohan. It was one of the two, and it was basically show that you're Lotro's #1 fan. And this video pretty much does that. He animates himself to be in the game world. He has the cloak that you can only get if you met them at this one meeting in real life, if you went to go meet the devs, and only like 7 or some of these cloaks were gifted out. And he has like the one ring, he has a smoke machine, there's all sorts of awesome stuff. Plus he goes through showing a lot of cool things that he did in game. This is just a really cool video to watch if you're a Lotro fan. I really do recommend watching it.
Plus, he's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
All right, then we'll go into our Cottage of Pen and Play, an Eastern song. And this is from the Nimrodillion Tail Spinner.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen stuff from the Nimrodillion Tail Spinner. It's great to see him come back. There were, some comments in the article saying that it's really good, and I've read through part of it, and then it seems like a fantastic article, and he does a great job every time. And so it's great to have another one of these story type of, role play type things coming out again.
Right. Now, last week, we described the end to the family line, and apparently that was a trick.
Mm-hmm.
Because the family line is continuing with part 25 and somehow in Fornost.
Yeah. This happened. This is awesome. I'm so glad that it's not ending, and I'm even more glad that he kept it secret that this was actually not the end last week, and that there was another episode coming. And I really did enjoy this, and he even gives a little thing towards us as well, so I thought that was pretty cool.
All right, very well. That's it for our site news. So let's go into Brax's pick of the week. What did you come up with this time?
There was a nice review over at mmorpg.com by Gene Pryor on Lotro's Update 15 called A Valiant Effort from a Reduced Studio. And I know we've done our own Update 15 reviews, and we wrote some up, and we did one on the podcast. But I thought it was kind of nice that we had one a couple months after it dropped to kind of let it sink in and actually, kind of get over the excitement. And Gene does a nice job of taking both a look at the Bjorning and at the new area content and epic battle, and kind of going through. And I'll let you read it to find out what her conclusions are. But let's just say they were pretty close to the grades that were given on this podcast, and she does a nice job of going through each of those areas and kind of detailing what's good and what's bad. So just a little bit of distance from the update kind of brings a little bit new perspective sometimes.
And I think it's also cool that MMORPG wrote a review article on an update for LOTRO. Because so much of the press, aside from Massively, but even Massively, Justin kind of moved on to other things as well. So I mean, it seems like that just in general, that game media and game press has moved away from covering LOTRO, and so it's cool to see a review for just an update of LOTRO. And so definitely really thankful to Gene for helping spread word about LOTRO through a review.
All right then, and that concludes the site news. So let's go into news beyond Lotro, and the major news that we have beyond Lotro is that next week, or the upcoming week, I guess if you're listening to this in the podcast form when it is posted, is Myth Moot 3. This is where the Tolkien professor is going to be meeting up in Maryland with many Lord of the Rings fans. We will be having generally a standard meetup, plus there will be several presentations of literary papers there, as well as a presentation by the head world builder over at Lotro.
That's right, and Pineleaf did say we. That's because he's going to be there. Be sure to say hi to him. And even if you don't know who he is because he's using his real name maybe, just say hi to everyone and call them Pineleaf. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
One
I
of them will
imagine.
eventually be Pine Leaf.
One of them will eventually be Pineleaf.
I can imagine everybody there saying, walking up to everybody saying, "Hello, Pine."
And Barnabas says, be sure to pack your Pineleaf shirt to be signed. Yeah, buy your Pineleaf shirt and take it over there so you can skirmish responsibly with Pineleaf in person.
All right, very well. Thank you on that. So let's go into donations for this week. We did not receive
Hey,
any
Pineleaf.
Patreon.
We got a discussion this week.
Uh,
Oh yes, there is a discussion this week.
See, you should have
Boy.
left that little rainbow icon I put there. I would have noticed it.
Show notes.
I think the adventures went on too long this week.
They did go on for quite a while, yeah.
It went on too long this week. Yes, all right. Since seem to be on the wrong planet right now, let's go into the question of the week. Atheros, what's the question of the week?
Andang, what's the question of the week?
Barnabas says that there was no
Somebody
page
knows.
break. That's right, there wasn't a page break, but that wasn't the issue this time, so.
Yeah, because it's in the middle of the page.
That's right. All right, so yeah, this week I did kind of come up with the question last minute, and so we'll see how this goes. But I did want to talk about our dreams for Lotro, not only because it's a new year, but also because the producer's letter is coming out next week, and they've already promised, a lot of big things with it. And so I figured now's the time better than any to talk about our dreams for Lotro. And so this can be whatever you want. Just what do you want to see at some point in the future for Lotro? Maybe this coming year, or maybe just sometime in the future. And let's start with Brax, since he was bragging about how good his answer was earlier.
Yeah, that'll teach me. So one thing, now these are wishes, so these aren't predictions. Let's just put that out there right now. I don't think a lot of these will happen, but I would love to see some of them happen. And I'll start with, I would love, and I know this is a contentious one because we talked about it before within the community, but I would love to see Lotro revamp their character models similar to what WoW just did with theirs, and make them, update them, make them more modern looking, and I guess stick new people to the game. Because one of the things that I've heard from people who tried Lotro is, man, those characters are just too ugly. I can't sit there and watch them play,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I know every single massively article about Lotro I read, it's always at least one person who goes, good game, hate the character models.
exactly. So I would love to see them do that. I don't think they probably have the resources to, but I would love to see it.
Well, they tried to, and everybody freaked out. So
I mean,
Those were
it
just
might be
Every
just
time they
me.
make any sort of change to the models, people go crazy.
It might be just me, but I think the Bjorning character model looks better. Obviously,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think they're
definitely.
still trying to stick with the art style of the other characters, so it doesn't go too far. But they, especially on the male Bjorning, they have a few more like facial features and things like that. But yeah, I would really like to see a character update. That'd be cool.
Who's next?
Sithrith.
I would like to be able to play as a cat. I think that would be pretty cool. Um,
And
Of
how are you going to
course.
arrange that within the lore?
The cat
Just
lady's
Doesn't
house.
matter, this is a
Just
dream.
have her
Into
drink a
cat.
little
This is
too
a
much
dream.
ale
This doesn't
and
matter.
pretend that she's a cat.
Yeah, these are dreams. They don't have to make any sense. More wardrobe space would be pretty good. A more realistic dream, a dream slightly more grounded in reality, is I'd like them to um, pay a little bit more attention to Lollia's Market again. They kind of dropped the ball with that one. Like, they were doing a really good job of rotating in new outfits every month, and now they've kind of started recycling outfits from the previous year, or they just kind of, rather than using outfits supplied by like Cosmetic Lotro and Starry Mantle and other people in the community, they've kind of just started throwing random outfits together, and they're okay. But I mean, I'd like to see different stuff, and it's not like there's no cosmetic blogs for them to choose outfits from. There's heaps of cosmetic blogs they can take outfits from, and like they haven't even really scratched the surface for Cosmetic Lotro and Starry Mantle anyway. So I'd like them to focus more on Lollia's Market. That's my dream, and cats, also.
And cats.
All right, and Drac.
I have a dream. My dream is a very important dream. It is the dream that we all wake up and realize that that was just a very bad nightmare we had, and epic battles do not exist, or will they ever exist ever again in the history of Lotro. That is my dream. Please make it happen, Turbine. Please.
And I do want to
Surprised
follow
you're not
up
asking for
with
Marvel characters.
I was getting to that, but thanks for stealing my thunder. But
real
okay.
quick. I do want to follow up with what would you like to see them do with Minas Tirith then?
I'm gonna go out on a limb, and let's go back to how it used to be, and let's make it a skirmish.
Or even an instance?
Or an instance, that would be fine too.
Yeah,
Or if you really want to go out on a limb, make it like a raid or like a 6-man or something.
Don't get
Why
crazy,
don't you have
Drac.
us fight the Witch King and you can have a bunch of
But-
clones and have to fight them all with different rings?
Ugh, don't even get me started on that. I'm trying to erase that nightmare from my mind too. But yes, please, no more epic battles ever, please. And red skeleton steeds for all.
All right, Atharos.
This is difficult for me because I know whatever I say I would like dream of them doing, I'm gonna be disappointed again. I would want them to either fix allies or kill it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would like to add to my dream 0 allies, please, and then thanks.
I'd probably rather them kill it because, to be honest, I don't think the system is worth saving as is.
Well, the way they're talking, it's going to be a pretty big revamp, especially if they are. I mean, we haven't seen what their plan is. That's going to come next week, but it'd be nice if they, this extra time that they spent wasn't just because they needed extra time, but maybe they, made it to where at level 50, your item's no longer going to need level and you just get one. That would be awesome.
Yeah, even with that, though, I think the system's crap.
Yeah, well, I mean, they
I'd
do
rather-
more to it, I think, to make it work, but yeah,
I'd rather they didn't kill it altogether, but
I
would like to
agree.
see him revamp.
There's too many players involved with it that for them to kill it off, I think.
Yeah, because if they killed it, they'd have to worry about what about all those legacy buffs you have.
Yeah, and
Are they
that'd
all
ruin
going to
balance
just-
a bit and a few other things, so.
So why is it my dream you have to rationalize? But Drax,
We've kind of been
But
doing that with
I
each
can
one.
have cat players.
Yeah, Drac needs Time Lord technology for his to work.
That's true. All right, and do you have any others, Atharos?
No, I'm just not willing to put myself out there again.
Barnabas
And Barnabas
says Atharos'
says
dreams
Atharos'
crushed
dream
again.
gets crushed again. Poor Atharos.
All right, and
It's
Pineleaf.
okay. I share in your no ally dream as well.
Good.
All right, very well. Well, I would have to share Drax's dream concerning how they handle Minas Tirith. I will say not as a skirmish, but
Million
Since
skirmishes.
there's no way you could do Pelennor Fields as a skirmish, but you're probably certain side operations related to certain points within that area that could make a good skirmish.
How many
So
do you want to
therefore,
see,
I would
Pine Leaf?
say then. So I was just thinking that the best idea there would be to have a series of skirmishes that are related to each other on what is happening in there. Perhaps one that relates to that's going to include the big facing with the Witch King, and perhaps one or two. The biggest thing, of course, with Minas Tirith is how are you going to do it with mounted combat?
Yeah.
That's the real big thing, is because what are we going to contribute? Of course, if we're coming in late in the operation, maybe we're helping to get the ship and everybody to get on board so that they have a clear path in coming in. So
Yeah.
maybe there's
Well,
something like that we can do.
they've had
Because let's
several
face,
years to think that over, to be fair. So
well,
it's
yes,
possible that
but
they might have a solution, but I don't know.
but but also with Osgiliath. All right. Yes, we're hoping, of course, some people have their dream, of course, is that Osgiliath is a PvP zone, but it could probably have some PvE content with a couple of skirmishes also in addition to that.
The idea I see people have with Osgiliath a lot is that the PvP version is a layered map, so you can have that, but maybe taking a swift travel or time travel barrel, like they have in Helm's Deep, where you can just go to that and switch versions whenever you want.
Yeah, there's a lot of places in Lotro like that where they claim to be in one place, but really their coordinates tell the truth that they're in a total different part of the world.
Right. So
Well,
therefore, in other words, add a few more skirmishes related to the Minas Tirith, Osgiliath area, and not try to do it as an epic battle.
if you were going to do it, Pineleaf, if you were the guy that was in charge of making skirmishes happen at Minas Tirith, first of all, don't pass out. Just it's okay, Pineleaf. Um, how many skirmishes would you make? Do you think?
Are we talking about Pelennor Field, or are we talking about Osgiliath?
Pelennor Fields.
All right, Pelennor Fields. This is the trickiest bit, since getting us to be at Because trying to mix mounted combat with a skirmish. I'm trying to think how that is going to work.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but it is a short show
That's
this week, so you got plenty of time to think.
Well, fortunately, we do have the thing that so we don't have since normally in a skirmish you have your skirmish soldier. So this will almost require a new system. Which we'll call instead of skirmishes, we'll just refer to them as mounted skirmishes, because they'll be a little bit different in that you don't have a soldier. Effectively, your mount is your soldier.
Mm, okay,
Because your mount makes you a lot more powerful than you are alone.
right.
Unless of course you're one of those classes who's totally broken in mounted combat. So they do have to fix mounted combat before that'll work, though. Is I think there's some classes that don't work well, and of course burglar. One of the best things about the burglar's abilities, and there is the fact that they can stealth and just go by everybody, which won't work in a skirmish.
Depends on how it's set up, but yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
All right, so you avoided answering how many, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. How many? Yes, you still want to. All right. We'll need one in clearing the way when you get off the ship. All right. We'll
Mm-hmm.
need that. And probably a mounted one
Okay.
where you. Uh, where you see, actually, maybe that's best not to be done as a skirmish. That's probably a regular instance, the one where you're with Theoden when he dies and all that.
Mm-hmm.
If we could have a skirmish on where you are trying to prevent people, because let's face it, you have this battle going on in Pelennor Fields and all that stuff. I'm sure that there are at least some of the enemy that attempted to break into that open gate. Well, everybody else was distracted by the mounted combat fight.
Yeah.
And Guess who's going to be sent to protect that gate?
Us in a skirmish.
Right. Right. So I expect a skirmish there. So that's two skirmishes for Pelennor Fields itself. One to open up the way for Aragorn's people, and one to protect the gate from the enemy in outflanking them while the main battle is going on in the field.
Okay, so
And
just to clarify, there were 5 epic battles that are longer in length than skirmishes for Helm's Deep, but just 2 for skirmishes for.
well, if you want us to go and have a skirmish for every single catapult that they're using, actually, what would be a nice skirmish is a skirmish fought entirely on top of an elephant.
That would be cool.
Yeah, all right. So let's add
That's
one
a
for that
dream.
one. That
That's a
is a
dream.
dream. Yes, a skirmish on top of an elephant.
However, they were successful in allowing us to go on top of, ships and taking down stuff like that, so maybe.
Right. I'm thinking that maybe it would be nice if we did have a skirmish where each control point was a ship and you were going from ship to ship and trying to capture the fleet of the Corsairs.
That would be cool. You are a
But
dreamer,
that's
Pine
not
Leaf.
related to Lenore.
All right. Any other dreams for Lotro in the future? Pine Leaf?
Well, obviously the main one is one that I know that they I know that they are planning this at Turbine already, but it's a dream in being able that the game stays in existence long enough for them to do it. And that is, of course, is for us to reach the end of the story all the way to the departure at the Grey Havens.
I'm
Okay.
not going to say anything else because they're just going to be crushed again.
I don't know. I think we could see that.
Now, did anyone else have any more that they wanted?
Go ahead, Brax, and then I'll give mine.
Okay. Sorry, I thought we were going around the table. I had 2 more. One of them I think I don't know. Again, these are all going to probably be contentious, but what I would like to see is either free character transfers to other servers or some type of mega server technology implemented.
That'd be
and
nice
that's
at
because
least for grouping. I think that would be nice.
yeah, that comes from my experience in being on, and Sithrid, you can back me up, I think, on this, being on a specific server and then having a bunch of friends on another server that I basically can't play with unless I roll, from the beginning again, which is really hard for
Or
me
you
to
do
do.
like me, you pay $25 to transfer your character.
$25 a character, right? So, and your name may or may not be there when you get there. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was my second one, and my third one is I would like to see them completely revamp the War Steed cosmetic system from a die perspective, so that dies work like regular dies instead of purchasable in die packs from the store.
That'd be nice. Anything else?
Oh yeah, I'd like to see Steel Blue and Walnut Brown as War Steed dye colors because they're still not available for War Steeds. Steel Blue.
What a travesty. It should probably be account wide too while they're at it.
Yeah.
Lilicate says fix the music system.
That would
Oh,
be
yes,
nice.
that's definite one. Yes, all right, we'd have to.
All right.
She's
Technically,
right.
it's
We
more
completely
like
missed that one.
unbreak than fix, but
Okay.
Well,
Here's my list. Number 1, fix systems. Just in general, fix the systems in Lotro. I don't care if you have to take a year off to get it done, although maybe I'm guessing the license might be forcing them, but it'd still be nice for them to take a year, fix systems. Number 2, give neglected player bases what they want. And this is especially true for PvP players now, because they already promised us in this producer's letter that's coming up that PvP players are going to get something big or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact wording. But they've dangled for so long that there'd be a new map, and then we never got a new map. They dangled for so long that there'd be all these sweeping changes, and we never got those. Give the PvP players something, especially now that you've already dangled another carrot in front of them. That really needs to happen. Raiders as well are really, they've probably already left because there just is not that system there. Uh, but there's still a few clamoring for it. But that would definitely bring in a lot of players back, I think. Number 3, very simple. Continue focusing on the story. Like I said, though, I'd be fine if they take a year off. And number 4, take a slower pace. I felt like this year was kind of rushed, even though we did get less content than previous years. It just felt like we were really hurrying. Maybe that's because we're in Gondor and the story is that way. I don't know, but it feels like that we're really rushing. So that's kind of my dreams for Lotro.
I would love to see some more instanced group content. I think
Mhm.
that would be awesome.
Yep. All right.
Very well. Anything else on this matter?
I think we're good, Pineleaf.
Now I can go on to donations.
Yes.
This week we did not receive any Patreon mentions, but if you would like to help us, you could go to Support Local Players. Simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even a guest for an episode of Local Players News or Adventures. We did not receive any reviews from iTunes and have no featured comments, so I suspect this one is going to have a couple of comments on my being slightly flippy today. Let's go. As for emails, we did not receive any emails either, but you can contact us by emailing us at podcast@lotroplayers.com, and you can also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Ally, Lotro Players at Lotro Players, Andang at PVMP_Andang, Braxwolf at Braxwolf, Sithrith at Sithrith, Draculeta at Draculeta_72, Etheros at Etheros, Lilykate at Lilykate Buggins, Mystery at Mystery XOX, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles. The Players Alliance has 3 live shows a week. On Mondays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. On Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Guild Wars Players News. And at Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, Lojo Players News. That's right, all 3 are at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, which is the same as server time. You can join us for our live shows at lojoplayers.com/live. And you can also join us on Loungeable for Lojo Players Adventures each Saturday at 5 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Thank you for listening. And this is Pineleaf Needles remembering you to skirmish responsibly.